All right, welcome back. We're talking about what the Steelers do next. They have the Division I. They don't have to do anything next week, but they should rest players because they never got their bye week. It was in and out and never really a true bye week. So, Rich, what would you do if you're Mike Tomlin? Who do you play? Who don't you play? How would you handle it?
I play everyone. I don't think they should rest anyone right now. What have they done? I understand it's a long season, and it's like a double-edged sword here, and you want to rest guys, but I think they need to play. I think they need to get better. We saw 4 weeks of just horrible football, especially on offense. I want to see these guys out there and maybe get into some kind of groove heading into the postseason. So if it's up to me, I'm playing everyone.
If it's up to me, I'm playing as few people as possible. I want the rest. I saw what it did for Tampa Bay and how fresh they look since they're coming off their late bye week. I mean, it's not like college, so you can't replace an entire roster with backups. So you're going to have to pick and choose. But, man, my veteran guys that I know that are banged up, maybe I haven't reported on injury reports, but I know that they're got a nagging this or nagging that. Man, I am resting those guys. This game means nothing, especially if, the Bills take care of business. You don't even have to worry about moving up to a 2 seed. And I don't think there's that much difference between a 2 and 3. I'd rather have the rest.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jeff. And there was an interesting.
Why doesn't anyone agree with me?
Well, you might have to think about that, Richie. I don't know. But there was an interesting segment. It was during the first half of the game. Tony Romo and Jim Nantz were talking about the Steelers and talking about how some of the Steelers, I think Roethlisberger especially, literally told them this week about how mentally draining the season was. And it sounded like excuse making a little bit to me. But you know what? If there's some validity there and they really didn't have a bye week, I would consider resting as many people as possible. And listen, TJ Watt's not 100%. He's been banged up for a month. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't play him. We know how important he is, and I wouldn't play Ben Roethlisberger. And if that means Mason Rudolph against the Browns, that'll be a great storyline, fine. But you know what? I'd rather have Ben healthy in 2 weeks.
How'd the bye week work out for Baltimore last year? Remember the Colts teams back, in the early 2000s?
Well, you can make arguments both ways on that. I think for a team that doesn't have rest at all, I think this could be a good opportunity to rest some. But I want to talk about the choices here. Jeff, I'm going to give you 3 teams. First-round matchups, Browns, Ravens, Colts. If you had to pick one of them, which would be better for the Steelers, which of those 3 would you take?
I would actually say the Colts. I think that I like the matchup that I saw today. I don't think Phillip Rivers is the same Phillip Rivers. I think you can get to him, especially with the injuries they have at tackle position. If those linger into the postseason, I would like the Steelers matchup with the Colts.
I like the Browns. Colts would be second for me, not the Ravens. I don't want to play them in the postseason. I like the Browns just because I think that they're in their heads. It's a mental thing with the Browns and the Steelers right now. Baker Mayfield just can't beat the Steelers. So if you'd want to pick who you'd want to play, I would want to see them play the Browns.
Yeah, anybody but the Ravens. That team is heating up. If the Ravens get the 7th seed, and who knows, I could see them going to Buffalo and winning. I could see them giving Kansas City a game. That's the one team you don't want to play. I think the Steelers would have a really good chance to beat the Colts or the Browns. I think the Colts are a good matchup. I usually don't look at lifetime statistics against certain teams. That's overblown. Ben Roethlisberger plays great against them, especially at Heinz Field. He always has. I just think it's a comfortable matchup for the Steelers. Phil Rivers can't move. The Steelers pass rush, especially Alex Highsmith, by the way. Boy, were they good. And I just think it's a good matchup.
Yeah, it's going to be determined in the next week. There's still a lot to be determined, but the Steelers know this. They are division champs, so they do have an opportunity to pick and choose what they do next week. In Cleveland, a game you'll see on KDKA. When we come back, though, we're going to talk about the Pirates, who snuck a little trade in on Christmas Eve. They picked their spots with these things. Josh Bell is a former Pirate. Good trade, bad trade? We'll ask the panel next right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown.